Talking about some of the things that you've done, which I think is amazing. Did you open for reggae star Shaggy?
Yes, I did.
Can you please put that in your topmost achievements of like life?
It's
How
actually,
did
I
that?
don't think I believe it still. It happened, but I'm not sure it's still sunk in.
How did it happen though?
It's a really funny story. It's like, you know how sometimes you feel like when people contact you on social media, it's a joke or it's a prank.
Yeah.
So one of the organizers had like sent me an Instagram message saying, "Hey, we have this gig coming up. Would you like to be an opening act?" And I was like, "Of course. Who's it for?" And he said, "Oh, do you know who Shaggy is?" And I was like, are you messing with me? Like, should I cut this call? Is this a prank? And he's like, "Oh, no." So we're bringing him to India, and we would like to have young artists open for him. And
Wow.
it was quite ridiculous because I didn't tell anyone. I was in high
What?
school back then. I was in my
Oh.
final year. And I didn't tell anyone because I thought it was a joke. So
Oh.
I had no friends there watching me because I genuinely, until I was in the green room that day, I didn't know.
For your ultimate moment.
I was like, yeah, okay.
I can't
Nobody
even
can know.
imagine that call because like it's so funny. Because initially I was like, obviously it's not Shaggy who's gonna call you directly, but the fact that someone is just like, you're gonna be opening for Shaggy, and you're like, the '90s reggae star, like,
Yeah.
what are you
And
talking about?
they actually asked me to, because I was young per se, to
Yeah.
know Shaggy. And he was like, "Oh, do you know who Shaggy is?" And I was like, I grew up listening to that music. What are you
How
asking
can
me?
you not?
Yeah.
But that's nuts. And then you also opened in 2018 for the Vamps,
Yes.
which is also super cool.
Yeah, and it was actually funnily the same organizers who back then I didn't have any originals out. So a lot of it, the opening act,
Yeah.
I was doing other people's music for my opening act. And for the Vamps, it was the same organizers, but they were like, "Hey, we really like your music. How about you do your music on
Yeah.
stage?" So it was the first time where I was opening with a whole set of my debut EP stuff, and it was really cool. Yeah.
Also, have you ever done a cover of a Shaggy song?
You know what? I have this newfound love for revamping old music that I've been doing, and I do it in a really strange a cappella,
Yeah.
chromatic fashion. So now that you say it, I should be doing that, but I
You
don't.
should.
I don't have a cover of
You
Shaggy's
should.
music.
I think you should. I think you should. You know, I opened for Shaggy once. Here's one of his songs.
I think that's really smart. I don't know why I've not done that
I
yet.
know. You should have just opened for Shaggy by playing Shaggy songs. That would
I think that's
even
brilliant.
better.
Yeah.
Great cover band stuff. And we here at Made in India on our Walls mixtape, we featured Better 24H,
Yeah.
which was such a good track.
Thank
and
you.
I really enjoyed it. And it was you actually recorded on your birthday, right?
Yes.
You wanted to do a track that you could finish in 24 hours?
Yes, that was actually something Ayan and I spoke of really long ago, where we were like, maybe we should like, get into the studio and do like a track in a day. And it was just something that we thought we'd do for fun. But then it became this thing I really wanted to do. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you want to try this?
And then you did it.
We did it.
But I really like the idea behind it. It was something to do with your birthday. Can you tell me more?
Yeah, I actually, during that year, the beginning of that year, I was in like a horrible space. And people kept like, as my birthday approached, they were like, "Oh, what are we doing?" And every time I'd be like, I don't really want to do anything. Not necessarily with my friends and family. And that's when it kind of struck me. It's like, I'm so confused by my own thoughts. Maybe I should just go, like, the most amount of clarity I get ever is in the studio. So I was like, maybe we should, do this. And if it's horrible, it's horrible. And if it's good, it's good. And it turned out to be something that I didn't expect. It's also not something that when I'm planning my songwriting, it's a kind of genre that I don't generally pursue. But then here we have a whole new kind of, sound. And I was very happy about that.
So yeah, I think a lot of people have like very conflicting views, and it's so weird because there's this like idea that you should celebrate your birthday, and yeah, and then why? If you don't feel like it, you shouldn't. Like, let's just celebrate another day. It's not today. So I wanted to ask you right now, are you working on some new music? Are you planning to put some stuff out? What's he saying now?
Actually, am. It's been, I think, a good year of just writing a lot. And what's interesting is I really do write a lot. The whole thing that becomes of it is that how do you want to release this? Because I think that's something that really means a lot to me. I don't want to, I mean, Better was one like off chance thing where I was just like, yeah, I want to make something in a day and put it out. But even then, I was very aware of the fact that, hey, new music coming out. And my latest single actually came out. It's called Do or Don't. It released in December on the
Yeah.
11th. Yeah. And the whole process of releasing has become something really special to me because, of course, indie. So you're doing everything.
Yeah.
But
You're like the manager, the promoter, the peon, like literally everything.
everything. So I think I've begun to understand that process a little better now. But there is so much. I mean, now that I'm going to play one of those songs today, there's an album, so to say, that I'm working on with Ayan, of course. But it's something that I think is slightly more vulnerable side of my music, which I haven't really, I mean, they're all vulnerable, but I always put like this weird wicked twist of it being groovy and such. But this is actually just wanted to be how I wrote it. And I think that's going to be interesting.
Actually, in Do or Don't, you talked about that you kind of stumbled on an old voice note.
Yeah. This is really funny. We were in the studio, and I often sometimes went there just to be around that atmosphere. It wasn't necessarily that I was working directly with Ayan. So I do this thing where I make a little, workstation close by, and I list like write random stuff just as practice. And this one day we were just like, oh, we don't have anything. And I was like, wait, I'll go through my voice notes. And my voice note just had like a don't never do, don't never don't. And I was like, that's catchy. Maybe we should work on that.
Nice.
And it was very vague, and we could do whatever we want with that, that one lyric. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's make it as existential.
What was the lyric about, though? Do you remember what brought it on?
Yeah, I think it was because I was doing music and my degree simultaneously. I think a lot of the times I didn't get socializing time. And everyone I knew in college would take it really personally, not very directly so, but it'd always be like, oh, why is Saachi so pricey? Like, why is there no time for us? And I was like, there's literally no time, because I'd be in college or I'd be at studio. And if I was not at studio, I would be trying to finish whatever coursework we had. And I really didn't have time in college. And I think that's where I wrote it from, but it became so many other things because that lyric is just so relatable in all aspects. So that's where it began, but I think it became a lot more of a blanket term for me, where it'd be like, honestly, no matter what I do, I'm literally pissing someone off.
Yeah. So what's the song you're playing for me today again?
It's called Iris. It's
new tune.
Yes, very new tune. I have played it at a couple of gigs, but it's, I think, one of those songs that just got written overnight, essentially. Like it just kind of happened, and I was like, oh, this is the closest to me of all of the songs that I've written. Very much, very, very personal, very like, I don't even know how to frame it, because it came out of it, like, of resolving something in your head after a really long time. And it's one of those songs where it's like, oh, okay, everything makes perfect sense now. So yeah, this one's Iris.
Daisies and irises laid perfectly as an were to my old self. Rain and sunshine this, weather's erratic like swinging emotions. No bags are packed, but I'm not ready to go. Sometimes we can't choose just what we have, and I've learned it so. I wash the blood off my hands, won't fight the inevitable. I've chosen to go. So I run, leave it all back and run. There's no turning back. Someday I'll reach a place where I'll love again. Till then, I'll run. Maybe this pain will finally fade around the next turn. Maybe I'll jump from the gold of the sun, but fire don't burn, burn, burn. 'Cause I've been down and bent, I've etched tragedy eyes sink into my skin, stardust and providence. I've never known hope, but you're as close as I've been. And all my bags are packed, but I'm not ready to go. Sometimes we can't choose just what we have, and I've learned it so. I wash the blood off my hands, won't find the inevitable. I've chosen to go, so I run, leave it all back and run. There's no turning back. Someday I'll reach a place where I'll love again. Till then, I'll run, and I'm on my way, on my